responsible for the Cardano blockchain, the CEO of Input Output, Charles Hoskinson.
Thank you so much, Eric. Selfie. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Rough and Rugged, Wyoming. God, I love that reverb. Awesome. So, the lobster has a name. Thanks to all of you. We wrote the lobster contract. You guys participated, and guess what it is? Logan. Logan the lobster. I'll put him over here. He'll watch the speech. He has the best seat in the house. Well, welcome to Rough and Rugged, Wyoming. It's a great place. It's actually my home, too. I live in Colorado and Wyoming. Parents live up in Gillette. I got a ranch out in Wheatland. It's a nice ranch. Got a few bison running around. And what's so amazing about this state is you just kind of do stuff. For example, wanted to build a road. I said, well, we need to do some blasting. They said, okay, just go buy some dynamite. I said, you need a permit for that? Not in Wyoming. That was fun. Anyway, Cardano started a long time ago. It started in a bar in Osaka, February of 2015. Some guys got together and they said it would be really cool to do something like an Ethereum in Japan. And then somewhere along the way, slowly but surely, it transformed from something that was a good idea with a little bit of alcohol, maybe a lot, to what we have here today, which is one of the largest, most prominent cryptocurrency blockchain projects in the entire world. I've been told that at this moment, over 80,000 people have registered and are watching across the world, more than 100 countries. There are people here, there are people in London, Cape Town, Tokyo, all across the world. Events all across the world, just like you, building, thinking, dreaming. So I took a moment to reflect, what is this all about? Why are we here? What are we doing? What are we trying to accomplish? Where does all the resilience come from? Cardano is special in that it probably is the most resilient of all cryptocurrencies, perhaps outside of Bitcoin. How do we know that? Because we get shit from everybody. Yet we're still here. We're still alive. We're thriving. We're growing. You know, I remember when we announced the Ministry of Education deal. We spent 3.5 years to negotiate that. Closed it during a civil war. What was the reception in the industry? They said, oh, well, anybody. You can do that. Well, then who did? Just us. I remember CoinDesk, after the New York Times announced the deal, they said, well, we can't confirm it, even though we have a video of the minister himself talking about it. We're waiting for comment from the ministry. Maybe it's the ministry's secretary who has to confirm it. And I just wonder, why the hell do these people come at us? Well, it's because this is a movement that's united by one general principle, which is we're crazy enough to dream that we can. There's a lot of optimism in this room. There's a lot of belief in this room that we can do things that no one has ever done before. You don't like your government? Rebuild the damn thing. You don't like your money? Make new money. And as an example, I was sitting in my office a few months ago, and I have this stuffed lobster that we bought, and just sitting there, and I said, you know what, let's make this thing alive. So I grab it, I move it a few feet, and I put it on my microphone, and now it's begun a journey. Everybody in the whole community knows about it. It's got a name. I've had graphic novelists reach out to me. We're going to do a graphic novel for the damn lobster. And you know what? We're sure as hell going to NFT it. You know that's happening. Decades from now, it's going to become something that's real. A stuffed lobster, move it 5 feet, and it becomes something alive. This is not a superpower that I have. It's a superpower because of this platform. The idea is here that all of you have. Every single one of you. That's why Cardano is viewed sometimes well, sometimes not so well. It is an instrument of change for the world. Where we started so long ago, 2015, and the journey that we've gone on, we've seen the growth of an ecosystem to a community in the millions. We have seen national press, we have seen heads of state make deals with us, shook hands with a lot of people. And where are we going? Well, I'll tell you, we're just going to keep growing. We're just going to keep changing. And Cardano in the coming years will be more defined by the things you do rather than the things that I did. And that's what makes it so special and so powerful and so durable. Look at Catalyst. When we started that last year, a few hundred people. Not a lot. Just a little bit of conversations. You could literally fit all of the people participating in a Zoom call if you wanted to. Now there are tens of thousands. As we go into 2022, there'll be hundreds of thousands, millions eventually. How much collective knowledge, intelligence, capability, execution is embedded in that? How do you stop that? Especially when it's completely recursive, it's self-bootstrapping. The community's in control of the funds, the community's in control of the ideas, they're in charge of the challenges, they're in charge of the ventures. The ones who do well continue to get funding, the ones who don't die off. That's a self-evolving system that continues to grow and bootstrap. You blink, and it's an army. You blink again, and it's a nation. You blink again, and it's the whole world. And that's just one thing inside Cardano. We look at the progress with the Ouroboros. Years ago, we said, hey, let's figure out a better way of doing things, a better engine that can process billions of transactions for billions of people. Well, it turned out to do that, you had to do a whole bunch of theory. Everybody thought we were crazy because we had to solve a half dozen really hard problems in computer science. Not to be dissuaded, we did, as a community, as an ecosystem. Paper after paper, being mocked the entire time and way. Didn't matter. Kept the head high, went through the peer review process, and now look at what we have. We have Krauss, Genesis, Chronos, Redux, all these papers that basically laid out the entire corpus of the theory of proof of stake. We didn't just write a protocol, we invented a new field of science just for this project. And that's just another thing. We look at Plutus. We launched Alonzo back in September. Well, September this month. September 12th. A little tired. And we've introduced the extended UTXO model. Now, where the hell did this thing come from? Did we invent it? Yeah, but it was inspired by ideas and concepts that were started 12 years ago. And ideas and concepts in the functional programming world have been around for 40 years. And they were merged together. Why? Because we look to the future. How will people use these systems in 2025, 2030, 2040, 2050? When you have billions and billions of transactions and applications and nation states running these things, doing their voting systems, their payment systems, their stock markets. It's not practical and feasible to run all of these things on some bizarre virtual machine in the sky. The point is the ledger is the proof checker. The point is the ledger is the validator. It's the thing that gives you certainty that what the person has told you is right. So simple of a concept. Yet, almost everyone in this space is ignoring that and chasing the exact opposite. Trying to take something like the Java virtual machine and just make it run in the sky. It's a fool's errand. It makes no sense. Satoshi actually got it right. He just didn't have the resources and the knowledge necessary to take it to its logical conclusion. Because that required us 4 years and a team of scientists who have been building programming languages for decades. That's hard. And we stood on the shoulders of giants, dozens of papers, dozens of ideas and projects, things like BitML and Simplicity from Blockstream and other places, who were thinking about exactly this same problem. And that's just one thing in this model. You need sidechains, you need light clients, you need all these other features and capabilities. This is the point of the project. It's an innovation engine. We're never, ever once distracted or dissuaded. We don't succumb to pessimism. We keep saying the same thing. We can do it. It might take 10 years, but damn it, we'll get it done. That's the Cardano way, and you're all part of that. And that's what makes this special. You see, the world is changing. When we look throughout the 21st century, because of technology, because of globalization, everything is up for grabs. Our institutions are fading. There's a lack of trust and dignity and respect between people. Things that we used to take for granted as kids are no longer solid and stable. A decade ago, if I heard something from the CDC, I'd believe it absolutely. I don't anymore. A decade ago, if we were told something from a prestigious scientific institution, we just take it on canon. Most people in society, they have a little bit of skepticism. Even the integrity of elections has been challenged. It doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. The fact that the crowd, the swarm, the masses of society are having troubles digesting this in meaningful percentages is destroying society. Add that to the fact that our monetary systems are crumbling. We are told that it's okay to print $6 trillion out of thin air in this nation and that we won't have any inflation at all. Anybody buy any wood lately? Food lately? And then the people who supposedly know what's going on, what do they tell us? They say, well, as long as you exclude the price of meat and chicken and pork, price of food's not so bad. This is what we're told. So what does it mean? It means that everyone in the world is taking a step back and they're saying the time has come for new systems. The time has come for a return to honesty and integrity. The time has come for us to trust each other somehow in some way. Why does our industry command such a large market cap and so much evangelism and so much passion? It's because this is the only industry that's figured out a path to get us there without an empire. A path to get us there without kings and presidents and dictators. This is an industry that promises us that there is a way to solve the problems of the future, whatever they may be. The problems that emergent technology gives us, the fact that we're burning our planet out at an alarming rate, species going extinct all the time, the problem of all the violence that's come, the instability that's come. Totalitarian theological regimes have somehow resumed ruling nations. These problems, they're very real. And in the past, how we've always solved it is, go find an empire to go clean it up. Let them rule the world for a century or two. If you're in the in crowd, it's a good life. And for everybody else, so sorry, maybe you'll have the turn next. I don't want to live in that world anymore, and I don't think you do either. I'd like to live in a world where everyone is treated fairly. Everyone is treated with honesty and respect and dignity and transparency. These are basic things. We put them in constitutions. We put them in laws. We promise each other we'll treat each other this way. But you know what happens? Humans happen. And while the individual may be virtuous, the collective, somehow, some way, if left unrestrained and unrestricted, they sometimes have problems. The magic of this industry is that we can create almost an artificial law of physics for society. We can take the rights that we believe that we have earned and should have, that we should be born with, and we can put it into a blockchain. And then suddenly people can't cheat. The most powerful way of demonstrating that is what Bitcoin accomplished. You see, all these monetary systems, they say, oh, well, no, they have rules and predictability, and we won't intervene until we do. Then suddenly this thing comes out that promises 21 million. That's it. Can't change it, can't reverse it. These are the rules, regardless of the circumstances. Then you see Silk Road happen, Mt. Gox happen. You see dozens of massive issues happen. You see nation states get involved and yell at it. Has it changed once? No. Not even when the core developers themselves were on the losing end of the game. And what does that mean? It means that if you can take those concepts and principles and put them into social systems that secure your vote, your voice, your dignity as a person, no matter who's on top, you're going to be treated fairly. That's the unifying theme, despite all the tribalism and the sectarianism and the fights that we've noticed in this industry that keeps us together, is that we just want to be treated better. We just want institutions that don't lie to us. We just want predictability. We just want to live in a world that's peaceful instead of one that's filled with chaos. Now, how do we get there? This all sounds good and fine. Well, first you have to build an army. We've got a pretty good one right here, don't we? Then you have to arm your army. And what do you arm them with? You arm them with knowledge and tools and capabilities. You first have to convince them that they have a lot of power collectively and individually. You have to give them the ability to think about how they want to live their lives. You have to give them things that they can give to others. So, provisioning. Well, we gave them Catalyst. We got that. Then you got to give them a platform upon which they can do commerce, express themselves, their voice, their vision, their vote. So what's coming? Well, we've 3 eras into this. We have Byron down. That was very hard because we had to learn how to do that. We have Shelley, and now we have thousands of stateful operators. Cardano is completely independent. It's run by them. It's a decentralized movement. It's a virtual resource. It is damn near impossible to shut the network down now. Cardano has become like Mick Jagger. It shall never die. That was Shelley. Gauguin was programmability. It was the ability to start running things. In the coming months and years, we will see hundreds and then thousands and then tens of thousands of decentralized applications built by you, the community, empowered by Catalyst, empowered by collaborations. And those applications will run DEXs and oracles and voting systems and NFT marketplaces. Those are the things we see today. But eventually those applications are going to start covering bigger and bigger pieces of society. One of the reasons why Africa is so promising as a marketplace is because that entire continent is going through a massive upgrade right now. All the legal systems are being updated. All the infrastructure is being updated. The voting systems, all these things. The next 5 to 10 years, all of Africa is going to be completely online and completely digital, and they have no loyalty or preferences to anything in the legacy world. There are no grand Microsofts and Facebooks and Goldman Sachs and JP Morgans to contend with. And there's a tireless population who's very young. Many of the countries, over 70% of the people are under the age of 30, who grew up as digital natives, and they see the world they could have, the places they could go, the things they could achieve and accomplish. And thus, they vote for that. They protest for that. They fight for that. No one wants to live in a corrupt place. No one wants to live in a place of hopelessness and will never get there. So guess what? Give collectively billions of people those kinds of tools, and they're going to have a revolution. That's exactly what is going to occur. And they're going to build something so much better than what we have here. They're going to build institutions far more durable. And hopefully they're going to build it on Cardano. That's our labor, our pursuit. That's why we fight so hard. We're traveling all around as much as we can. And so far, we brought in millions. And if they do that, those systems will run at costs that are orders of magnitude lower than the systems we have right now. Remittances will be the cheapest in the world. Credit will be the cheapest in the world. Best insurance system in the world. Most reliable voting systems. You talk about liquidity. The most efficient stock markets. The ability to take a $5 million company and have a micro IPO. These are the experiments that are going to be conducted in Kenya and Ethiopia and Rwanda and many other places. And you know what that means is they're going to work. And when they work, they'll create billions and then eventually trillions of dollars of wealth. And with wealth, there's power. And the rest of the world will see that. And they'll say, me too, I want to get in on that. But the only way they can is to become like us, to join this movement, to change the way those systems work, to demand integrity and inclusive accountability and transparency and all the things that we're now enabling. The roadmap has things like Basho and Voltaire, and next year is the first year where we do 2 of them instead of 1 of them. We're already working real hard. We've been working for 3-4 years now on Basho, for 4 years on Voltaire. So what happens? Well, main chain, the programming model improves. Keep doing things to make the developer experience better. It's going to be kludgy for a few months, as all new platforms are. Flagship applications come out, special accommodations are made to make them run faster and more optimally, these types of things. So there's a lot of Shelley-related work and Goguen-related work that's in the cleanup crew. And there's a whole group of people that worry about that. There's more than 12 development companies at this point that work on Cardano's core infrastructure all across the world. SUD never sleeps on development of Cardano. Basho is about saying, okay, let's get the Hydra age here. Let's get a lot of this traffic into the hands of the stake pools, get it off-chain, into side chains, to explore with new computational models. There is a place for technology like Ethereum. There is a place for technology like Yella. There is a place for technology that has yet to be invented. The point of Basho is to open that up and bring it to the ecosystem so that we can run at a scale of millions to billions of users sustainably. The point of Voltaire is to ensure that this system is forever in the hands of the people who care the most about it, you, the community, and all that come after you. We've already seen the beginnings of this with Catalyst, but there's a lot more work to do. Protocol parameters have to be in the control of the community completely. The SIP process has to be strengthened. We have to create standards process, especially at the smart contract layer. In addition to that, the hard fork combinator has to be totally in the control of the community. All of these things, these are cleanups. But in the process of doing that, we also have to do things like write a constitution for Cardano. Why not? You have rights. Monetary policy is different than just adding a new ledger rule. Adding a post-quantum signature scheme is fundamentally different than deciding whether to add a new sidechain or not. So there needs to be a hierarchy of concerns here. And how do you write a constitution? You write it with the people. And that's what we're going to be doing with you. We're going to come together, ratify that, put that right into the ledger, and treat it like a biological system where Cardano understands its own design. Spend all this time writing formal specifications. One good reason to do that is so that you get high-quality software. But another good reason to do formal specifications is that it's the DNA of the system. And what do cells have? DNA inside of them. The system should know itself and its own design. Because then, any person who has a full node has a full copy of all that meta, all of that design. That's how you create resilient organisms that can never die, is you build in redundancy into them. You build in replication into them. And you create a process upon which that DNA can evolve. And then we'll see dozens of commercial clients flow from that. If you don't like Haskell, it's okay. We have Rust, JavaScript, Python, Java, mainstream languages that mainstream developers know. It's important that when you're doing new things, you do it right and it's correct and you have high assurance. But let's be honest here. There's a reason there's 25 million developers. There's a reason there's a diversity of programming languages and thought and infrastructure. So as the Voltaire age grows and we get the DNA of the system, the specification of the system into the chain itself, and the community's in control of where do we go in the deep future, there's also going to be a Cambrian explosion of infrastructure. We're already seeing this with DC Spark, building all this beautiful Rust infrastructure. Projects like Ada Light, I think there's one called CC Wallet. There's dozens of these floating around. And right now they're nascent and young, but with the resources of Catalyst, the rigor of the community, the ability to follow a process, they will grow. And over time, they will grow to be larger, bigger, and better than anything we see in the rest of the space because they're built from the bottom up, resilient. Dozens of them will become hundreds of them. Dozens of languages will become hundreds of languages, and this ecosystem will continue to strengthen, continue to be more useful. Now, a lot of people call us a ghost chain, which is just damn perplexing. I even wore a Ghostbusters outfit just to prove a point. And so, if we're a ghost chain, how can we get such great partners? We mentioned the mystery of education. Well, did you know for the last few months we've been negotiating with a Fortune 250 company? We closed a deal. So who did we close with? Well, talking about digital transformation of the individual and the rights of humanity, that's fun, but businesses need to transform as well. So there happened to be a great business that came by the office a few months ago, and they said, hey, you know, we're right now in the middle of a giant transformation of our business, and we would like to have a discussion about how do we bring blockchain into this? How do we use these techniques and concepts like DIDs and microtransactions and having a wallet right on the cell phone? How do we pull those pieces together? Well, that company was Dish. And we said, boy, that sounds like a lot of fun. Let's go workshop that. About 3-4 days a week of meetings, again and again and again. We eventually got to a point where we made a deal with Boost Mobile to put DIDs, decentralized identifiers, on every single phone. 8 million of them. So that's just an example, and there's so much to build on top of that. One can build wallet infrastructure. They can build a dApp store. They can do all kinds of things and bring this to the consumer's phone, just like that. Now, why us? Well, because there's peer review, there's high assurance software, and there's just a damn good community that cares about these things. The other thing is, when you think about the growth model there, where is Dish going? They're becoming an ISP. You guys know about T-Mobile, you know about Sprint, you know about Verizon. These are cell phone companies, right? Well, Dish is a telco company, and they're moving into the 5G space and connectivity. In the coming years, more than 70% of America is going to be covered by their 5G network. Well, how do you build a network like that? You build it differently. You build it with new technology. You build it with new standards. And maybe you can build it with a little bit of blockchain in it. How about they be the first ISP to figure that one out? And that's the magic and beauty of the technology that we are building here today. It's built to last, and it's built to transform things. Your life as individuals, the lives of Fortune 250 companies, the lives of governments themselves. Takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of heroism. It takes a lot of unique advancements and developments and challenges that exist. But we're never dissuaded by that because we were born of resilience. First, as an industry that was always mocked. Second, as an ecosystem that never seems to get a fair shake in the media and never seems to get a fair consideration. And third, as people. We're here to stay. Cardano's here to stay. Voltaire and Basho are just beginnings to a new era, the Cardano 2025 era. Let's look at the challenges before us. In the next 10 to 20 years, there will probably be quantum computers. That's a dragon we got to slay. But we're going to do that together. In the next 10, 20 years, we're probably, through this movement, going to invent entirely new ways of voting and governing. We have to contend with difficult questions like confidentiality and privacy. How much privacy should you have? Under what circumstances can things be de-anonymized? These are super difficult questions because there's the rights of the individual, the rights of the society. Over the next 10 or 20 years, we see an unholy alliance between governments and corporations to create this surveillance capitalism. You see it every day with Facebook and Google and social credit in China and other places. People working together, indirectly or directly, where you don't own your own data. You don't own the perception of you. the metadata about you. There's going to be a pushback. The pendulum will swing in the other direction. The concepts of self-sovereign identity, of you owning yourself, your data, your identity, these things. Well, we have to figure that out. There's no rules for any of these things. We're pioneers in this respect. It's an entirely new global society. Why? Because the things that happen in Ethiopia matter here in Wyoming. The things that happen here in Wyoming matter in Chile. They matter in Japan. Humanity has never lived this way before. We've never lived with such a global commons. We were always so local. So, the next 10, 20 years, we have to figure out together, how are we going to do that? How are we going to build systems that are more open? One of the most magical things about the dApp space is we're also talking a lot about liberating applications in general from the control of the few. It's not fair that Microsoft and Apple and Google collectively get to decide what you can install on your phones and computers. That's just not right. So, when you build a dApp and a dApp store and you build these liberating models, you start poking holes in that funnel. You start loosening that death grip and control. You start having new standards. So another big component is, how do we as a community come together and figure out how to create standards for smart contracts, standards and certification for things. So there are 4 tracks in this conference. During the utility track, we're going to talk a lot about that. What are the blueprints of applications? How do you get them up on a blockchain so that anybody can access them? How do you curate quality when no one's in control? There's no custodian there to say this is a safe app and that was built by Bob. There has to be some sort of wisdom of the crowds. It's a hugely difficult problem. Just solving it for identifying a person was called Web of Trust. We started doing that in 1991. Still not completely figured out. The good news is we're not in this alone. This is an industry-wide concern. Not just our industry, but the entire class of developers. This movement, Cardano, blockchain, is about liberating every single thing it touches. It doesn't matter if it's a telecommunications company that lives in an ossified monopolistic world with tight regulations and, well, that's just the way it works and it's worked that way for a century and deal with it, to an app developer who just wants to make a video game and is tired of being told they can't do microtransactions or something else because it violates an app store policy. They're united in the fact that systems beyond them are constraining and controlling their ability to innovate and create. The point of the tools and the technologies we build is, first, everyone is free. Everyone has equal rights, and also you are liberated to live your dreams and create the things you want to create. And hopefully we're making that point. If you add up MOE and Dish, that's 13 million people just there the next 12 to 24 months coming online. If you look at the community itself, it's in the millions. And we're just about ready for explosive growth. Basho will bring new technology like Mithril. Now, I fully admit that sometimes Daedalus needs to speed up a little bit. I fully admit that we need a better light client game. The problem is that we couldn't just copy a light client design from Bitcoin or Ethereum because all these protocols were completely new. So it required some time to figure out new cryptographic primitives and new protocols in order to enable a safe light experience. Well, we're here now with the Mithril age. And at this summit, you're going to see presentations about Mithril. And this is not some far-off concept that's coming 5-10 years from now. Mithril is coming next year. Light clients with full client security are coming next year. And the same technology that enables Mithril to have a great light client experience, which will bring these tens of millions of people into Cardano, is the same technology that will rapidly speed up the validation of full nodes. So that means everything gets better. Daedalus gets faster. Third-party wallets get faster. And it's all open source. It's all available not just for Yoroi and Flint and Daedalus and other wallets. It's available for you, the wallet builders, building your own projects, for Catalyst, for all kinds of things to think about. And this type of technology is so foundational. It can be reused in Hydra. It can be used for ZK rollups. It can be used for all kinds of things as that thread scales. Helps the scalability, helps the user experience. But that alone is not going to get it done. We recognize the time has come to really make an aggressive push forward to getting Cardano into the browser and getting Cardano onto your phone. So we have a skunkworks at I/O, and we've been working very hard. And some of the presentations here at the conference will be to show you guys what's coming in the next few months, which is going to be a light wallet that I/O has created, we're bringing to all the consumers. And it's a beautiful wallet. We haven't named it yet. We're having some fights about it. But I assure you, you're really going to like where we're going. Get the wallet, the identity, the voting, the delegation, all these things into the browser and make it easy to install. One click. Make it magical. And by the way, put a dApp store into it. And we have a dApp store we're showing off. We have a dApp store we're showing off too. And that'll come rather quickly. And what's so magical about this dApp store is to put dApps in it, guess who you have to ask? Exactly. You're getting it. It's permissionless. Yet, if you have this idea of certified software, what that means is, well, anybody can use it. What you can do is allow standards and community to show you what the good and safe apps are. It's a great balance. Open, yet somehow curated. Powerful, yet somehow light. That is what we're going for. That is what we're aiming for. And you know what? We're going to bring millions of users into this thanks to all these deals that we've been making and continue to make. And you're going to bring millions of users into it because you want your businesses to succeed. Just that simple. And every time we bring someone into this ecosystem, we are reinforcing and strengthening the core philosophy of the ecosystem. We're teaching people about the value of decentralization. We're teaching people that they have a voice and they can vote and they can decide where to take these things with Catalyst. We're showing people how to be their own bank. We're showing people how to be self-determined. We're also teaching people to interact with people they've never met before. That is so powerful if you think about it. Look at the diversity of faces. Look at the diversity of this movement. There are people right now watching this in Vietnam, right now watching this in Rwanda and Cape Town, right now watching this in Brazil, right now watching this in Canada, all across the world, over 100 countries. These are the people that are connected to you now. You can learn from them. You can learn from each other. Every single time we bring people into this infrastructure, little by little, it teaches them to listen more, to realize the world is much more nuanced, and it gives them their power back. So, a lot of announcements, a lot of things. 4 tracks: adoption, impact, utility, governance. Each and every one of them, dozens of presentations, hundreds of people from around the planet with incredible ideas. Amazing scientific thought, amazing thought on the engineering side, revolutionary ways of building things, an incredible community, lots of impact that's happening. But what unifies all of it is you, and what unifies all of it is the fact that we have dreamed together and actually accomplished something together. It is the privilege of a lifetime to watch this ecosystem grow and make myself so damn irrelevant. There is nothing I can say anymore or do anymore that in any way, shape, or form is going to derail Cardano. The reality is Cardano has outgrown its founder, and that's exactly what was intended. I'm still here. I'll still be here for a long time. But I'm now sitting on the other side of the table, if you think about it. The big announcements that come in the following years, the big things that come in the following, there's going to be so many more of them from you. Kind of like when you looked at the iPhone. Apple says, look at this amazing device, and it's a platform for creativity. How do we think about the iPhone? Do we think about it as a phone? No, we think about it as a collection of experiences. And each and every one of those experiences were built not by Apple, but by the community. That's where the Instagrams came from. That's where the Facebooks come from. All these things, these mobile experiences that you use every single day. Some people more than 8 hours a day when they look at usability scores. They come from other people who have never met Steve Jobs, who have never partnered with Apple, know very little about them, probably never even been to Cupertino. That is where Cardano is going now, thanks to the Gauguin era. We have these amazing DEXs coming out. There's the Deged project, which is a gift to the community. So now we have great foundations for stablecoins, tons of partnerships to announce, tons of people to come. I fade away because an army of people stand in front of me. And eventually, you'll do far more than anything I ever accomplished, IO ever accomplished. And that's the point of changing the world. Create an engine to allow people to change it for themselves. We did that in our own way. You named the lobster, not me. And I just want to thank you for all of that. You made me believe in humanity again. You made me believe in people again. You made me believe that there are no problems we cannot solve, no mountains we cannot scale, and you made me believe that the 21st century is going to be better than the 20th century. In closing, never be cynical. Never believe that you can't. All you have to do to change the world, and we demonstrated that here with this movement, is just decide that you want to. And thankfully, we now have the tools to do it for everyone, everywhere. Thank you so much.